Hello, and thank you for joining us here for another episode of the Uncharted podcast, your home for nonprofit data talk, donor management tools and updates, and financial integrations. My name is Jeremy, and I'm joined by the lovely Summer, my partner in crime as always. How are you today?
I'm doing fantastic, Jeremy. How are you?
I am good. Had a little bit of a warm-up the last week here in the Wisconsin nation, so that's been welcomed, but short-lived, I'm sure. But here we are.
Yeah, my backyard's a soup right now. Not a fan.
Oh yeah, that's the worst. Anyway, all right. Let's dive into things here. So I think one thing that we've done, the last one, I want to do just quick personal facts, just so our listeners get to learn about us a little more. Do you have one ready, or do you want me to go?
You should go.
Okay, I'll go first on this one. One of my favorite pastimes when I have free time, if that exists at this point, is go out and karaoke. Are you a karaoke fan?
Home. You know what? It's wherever it happens. It's not usually at home. We're pretty spontaneous with it.
All right. Yeah. See, but if you could sing at home, you could sing anywhere else too. That's my thought. Go-to song for me, I like Hard to Handle by the Black Crowes. I do that pretty well. So that's my go-to.
Hey, little thing, let me light your candle, calls the mama. I'm sure hard to handle now, just around.
You gonna guess a little bit, or?
No, I'm not. That's funny because I was actually doing my other podcast, and the gentleman we were interviewing said that he has this Scottish book, somebody's mittens, Martha's Mittens or something, that he reads to his kids, and he's like, I like to do a Scottish accent. And I'm like, can I get some of that? And he's like, no.
My husband's phenomenal at accents. We have this game called Utter Nonsense. So you have an accent card, and then the line or sentence that you're supposed to say with the accent. Hilarious.
Oh, I love it. I'm also a fan, though, like, it has to be like a dive bar or a bar karaoke, not like The Room. I think it's like an Asian thing where you rent a room and you go in there with your friends for an hour. That to me is weird. It's got to be like everybody out there. There has to be like the old guys singing Sinatra and the drunk girls that go up and do Spice Girls at some point in the night. That's what makes it fun to me.
Yeah, I'd say if I had to pick a go-to song, it would be like Chop Suey. Or maybe like Du Hast.
Du hast mich.
You know, something real mellow and chill.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. Oh, I love it. All right, Summer, how about you? Fun fact on your end.
I really like jujitsu.
Oh, so jujitsu is the stuff where you're fighting on the ground a lot, right? Am I thinking the right one? Yeah.
Yep, rolling and things like that. I was training somewhere actually in town, but I had to stop when we went on deployment, and I haven't gone back yet. But I actually got to do some jiu-jitsu training overseas while I was deployed, and that was super cool because we had people from all over the world who had been to many different types of jiu-jitsu, because there's Brazilian jiu-jitsu, there's Gracie, there's all sorts. And so that was really cool, just learning from other people, different techniques, and experiencing that was pretty fun.
Cool. So now we have former military, former bounty hunter, and into jiu-jitsu. I am not going to mess with you, Summer.
Good. That was the point.
Yeah.
I was trying to establish a pattern. We're here.
Love it. All right, let's dive into some things. One thing I wanted to just talk about quick, and I didn't even prep you for this, but Donor Perfect sent out I'm sure it was a lead generation email that they have a calendar together for the year. And if you were one of the early ones, and I happened to see my inbox right when it came up, they actually sent you a print version of it too. Ooh. That has really cool tips just on any of the nonprofit charitable things. And it's also, you can still get this, and you can just get it as a PDF. So we'll put that in the show notes. But I thought it'd be cool to like check out what their comment was for today, or a couple of them here. So like here, February 19th, we are recording, potentially a little earlier than what this is airing to our normal schedule, if we have a normal schedule yet. But today is their tip is to aim to schedule an informal no-ask email to your donors and volunteers at least once a month. Which, good advice, right? You don't want to always be out there asking. Got to be able to make sure you're communicating all the good things. But the thing, like every single one of these pages has a QR code that either has like an ebook or a blog post or a podcast that they have a good reference on. And yes, they are going to make you put your email in every time to get this. Like, this is a lead generation for them. But I've been pretty impressed so far. So I'm going to try to pull one of these out for the remainder of the year when we have it and talk through it. And again, check out our show notes if you want the link to get that. I think it's super worthwhile, and had to be a ton of work to have 360 some odd pages of resources and stuff out there. So good tool.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah. All right. So theme of today's episode, did our brief overview. And then a second episode, we talked about like when your nonprofit's ready for a CRM or ready to upgrade it. Today, we're going to talk through the fun of data governance, what I call the unsexy superpower of healthy nonprofits. To do this, because you loved it so much the first time, we're going to put you through the data gauntlet again. And just a reminder for our listeners, this is a quick hit, 10 questions. Most of them lead us into some good conversations today on data governance and things that are important there, but also some shenanigans that are thrown in there. Also, this is much more difficult than if you're listening, but please play along and we'll see how Summer does. Summer, how are you feeling this time?
Gosh, hopefully better than last time. You can tell me to study, so.
Yeah. No, I think you're going to do fine. So we don't aim to make this 100%, right? Some of the questions are hard. But yeah, let's dive into it. I'll get the timer going and let's see how you do. And we talked about we have an age difference, right? I'm definitely older than you. It's just some of these are a little older. But this 1996 movie, Michael Keaton, his character clones himself and things go sideways very quickly.
I think it's called Duplicate. I've actually seen that movie and I love it.
Partially fueled by Stranger Things, Dungeons and Dragons has surged in popularity. What general game category or genre does D&D fall into?
You give me some options?
No, I cannot. Crowd game would be one. VR or like a virtual.
Okay. I think I know. It's role playing, right? Isn't it a game? Isn't that the game type?
We don't give answers until the end. All right, moving on. Are you a Stranger Things fan?
I've never seen it. No.
Oh, next one's gonna suck for you. Name one of the villains on Stranger Things.
Ooh, Chris.
Perfect. We are well into tax season this year. We're recording this again towards the end of February. What is the one action that the IRS takes that spreads the most fear?
Audit.
Prior to the 1970s, the U.S. currency's value was tied to an amount of gold. The term for this is also used to describe the best or most reliable option of something.
I got nothing there.
All right, pass on that one. When buying a product online, the invoice or receipt will often have an additional charge with the shorthand S&H that stands for shipping and what?
Handling.
This 1980s group, led by Boy George, had several hits, including Karma Chameleon and Do You Really Want to Hurt Me?
Oh my gosh. I feel like I should know this. Hold on, let me think. I know the song. It's like playing in my head. It's not with the club.
Yes, it is something with the club. We'll put that. I wrote down in my answer sheet, Summer is too young to answer this. Anyway, what do you call a group of seagulls?
Oh, I actually know this. Ugh. I've heard this term before. It's silly.
Or a group of any birds?
Murder? No, it's not that. That's crows, but...
Murder is crows.
We're going to go with it.
All right, we're going to go with murder. I love it. All right. This simple machine consists of a beam or rigid rod pivoted on a fixed hinge or a fulcrum. Like that.
Catapult?
Catapult. Perfect. All right. And then lastly, how tall are leprechauns?
3'2".
Perfect. Let's debrief here and go through this and then talk about some fun things with data governance. First one was the 1996 Michael Keaton movie where he clones himself. You said duplicative?
Duplicity?
Duplicity. No. It's multiplicity.
Dang it. I was like, I know what it was. I just actually watched it not that long ago.
I like pizza. I like it. We're gonna need a cage.
Oh, such a good movie. That guy's such a great actor. I was so glad that he kind of went away and then came back in a big way. Okay, so really want to talk about this one is first like just start about like a horror story, right? So like this is not a made up example. This happens all the time, but like so you let's say you have a long time donor. They typically give your organization $5,000, right? But something that happens, their name is in your CRM spelled different ways, 3 different times. So they receive separate year-end tax statements. They also receive a dear friend email considering them to become a first-time donor. They give you a call. They're confused and frustrated, and now that gift has now gone to zero, right? And so your issue wasn't like the stewardship or the mission that you're doing. It wasn't your programming. It was bad data and duplicative records out there. So yeah, obviously a major issue where data governance failed the organization, and you've now lost a donor for that. So let's move on to number 2. So partially fueled by Stranger Things, Dungeons and Dragons. What type of game is that right now? You correctly role playing, right?
Okay, good. It's
Yeah.
like, I feel like I should know this.
Yeah. So first thing we're going to talk about specific data governance things is starting with a purpose, right? Your roles that you have in the organization and the goals that are there. So I love that to you. What are your thoughts on this important point?
Yes, establishing roles is super important because your roles will also help you define ownership. So, do you have a database admin who is in charge of data management, of reviewing duplicates of, XYZ? Or do you have maybe a donor services person who does part of data management, part something else, is in charge of maybe just making sure that the donor's salutations are correct? So that's all really going to be organizational specific, but very, very important. You have to have somebody to take ownership, or else it gets missed and mistakes like that happen. And goals is really important as well. So maybe the goal is we review duplicates at least once a month to make sure that we are staying on top of that. Or maybe we do a data audit once a quarter or something of that nature. It's usually a good idea to do like a SMART goal. So specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time bound. I'm sure everyone knows. But really getting together with your data team, if you have a team, hopefully. Usually it's just one person though, and really talking through a lot of those specifics.
Yeah. And we've talked about many times that the nonprofit world, you wear a lot of hats, right? So maybe this is one person who also has 15 other things, but just establishing that clear ownership and the roles within the organization that like this is, you are the end all be all when it comes to our data, right? And the owner there. Because really, like if everyone has a piece of that, no one owns it, and these things are going to happen. So it's like very clear roles that are out there, and like you said, well established goals. I'm big on SMART goals as well as like very challenging aspirational ones. And I tell my team on that all the time is I would rather have us set a goal of 100% of this and we reach 98 than set a week goal of 70% and we reach 75, right? Because we're pushing ourselves to be a little better every time. So
yes.
yeah, the villains in Stranger Things. Nope, failed on that one. The main one is Vecna. There's also the mind flayer and the demigorgons running around. Anyway.
Are you speaking English still?
Yes. No nonprofit merit on that one, but just a good thing to know. So
sorry for all the Chris's out there, by the way. I don't know why that came to mind first.
right? You are not villains, Chris. We promise. And you've got like both like genders in that one. It could be you're like taking the audience on both sides. Oh Lord. Anyway, all right. Let's go to number 4. Well, so we're well into tax season. What's one action the IRS takes? Spreads the most fear. Correctly said, audits. Right? Nobody wants that audit. However, we look about transition this to the nonprofit data governance window. Right? Is that data audit really lets you know what you actually have that's out there. So what are your thoughts on this one?
Absolutely. Database audits are fantastic. Probably not for people who are pulling them, but I like them.
Yeah.
I like to do full ones when I'm getting into a new organization just to really get a full picture of what's missing, what's incorrect, where are the biggest risks for bad data management and bad data practices. But a data audit can be anything. It can be maybe this month we're going to audit for correct, what am I trying to say? Casing. There we go. Because I see that a lot where you have uppercase, everything's all in caps, or you have all lowercase, or it's kind of mixed. And that looks bad to a donor too. If you are to send out
Mhm.
a letter and you're just doing a mail merge and their first name's in caps and their last name's lowercase, like that looks terrible. So just doing different types of audits throughout the year to make sure you're staying on top of it. That way it's also not so daunting, right? Like you're not doing a full database audit once a year. You're kind of breaking it down into sections, which I think makes a little more sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And I will be a special case of this for why this is important. So I am Dutch. My last name has two separate words in it, right? Capitalized first word, space, capitalized second word. And I guarantee you, I get mail all the time that my last name is Van Grohl. I get Dear Van.
Mm.
I get Dear Grohl. I get Jeremy Grohl. And every single time I get an email or a piece of mail that says that, don't even look at it. I immediately delete it because somebody didn't do enough diligence that when they're building their list or having their data in there to validate they had my name correctly or got sold a bad list with a bad whatever. Anyway, so something that is very frustrating for me, but also like I don't mind it because it lets me focus on people that have doing their job well because I don't even want to talk to the other people if you can't get my name right.
Absolutely. I'm the same way. I got one the other day called Summer Deer. Like they probably meant to put like Dear Summer and
Oh yeah.
as my name, Summer Deer. I'm like, okay.
Yep. Nope. Don't need to spend some time on that one. Yeah, totally agree. Okay, cool. Let's move on to number 5. So prior to this one's kind of hard because I'm a finance guy, so I might have got it. But prior to the 1970s, the U.S. currency value was tied to amount of gold. Also, this term is the what is the best or most reliable option of something? It's called the gold standard.
Oh,
What do you have out there?
yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's easy after you hear the
Come
answer.
on.
Yeah, and it's easy with the answers too. Um, so next thing kind of talk about on the data governance side is creating practical data standards, right?
Yes.
Conventions, things like that. What do you got to say on that one?
Yes. Naming conventions.
Yeah.
Huge. That's a huge pet peeve of mine, especially with titles. The Mr., Mrs., Miss. I mean, those are always all over the place. And so naming conventions, address standards. Are
Mm,
you using USPS? Are you using something else? Probably not. Please don't.
yeah.
Use
Yeah. Right.
USPS. um, how are gifts entered? Do you enter by check date or post date or date that you open the mail or whatever? Are you
Right.
entering the check number? Are you entering all the details? How do spouses look? Does your database have household records? And do you connect both spouses? Do you have one spouse and then you just connect them as a relationship? How does that look? Interests, tags, groups. Literally, there are so many categories. You have to have a procedure, a process, something, some sort of documentation in place for how does this get entered. And everyone's got to follow it, especially if you are empowering your fundraisers to update data. They need to know that if Jonathan Doe goes by John, where
Right.
does Jonathan go and where does John go so that everything feeds correctly with email communications, with mailers, things like that. So everyone's got to be on the same page and actually follow it. And that's also where the data audits will come in
Mm-hmm.
because then you can see, oh, this wasn't put in correctly. And if you have a good system, you have change logs and you can go back and say, oh, my fundraiser put that in wrong. Training moment.
Yeah, right. And yeah, team development, all that.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'll agree with all that. The little bit that I add is to what is optional versus required fields, right? Because you
Yep.
may not have every single field for every single one, but there should be a core number of them that's required at all points. And then a side story on this one too, and this one's hard to me on how to manage, but so my wife went to a college in South Dakota, and every time that they send us a letter or something now, it says to her name's Katie, Jeremy, and Katie, and hell hath no rage, hell hath no fury like my wife's rage that my name comes first on the communication from her college. So that could be something that it can miff off donors, right? If you're involved with one spouse or the other, and
Mhm.
you have them tied together, and that other person's out there, should it matter? No, but we all know that there are things that are on each pet peeve list. So
And
yeah,
that's why you also want to build the rule, not the exception. So we see that a lot too.
yeah,
My personal rule is whoever reaches out first is usually
yeah,
who But first, that's usually my primary donor. But some people like having the husband listed first or the spouse listed first, or sometimes not at all. Sometimes they want to be contacted individually. They give individually. So again, coming together with your team to talk through what is the rule and how do we handle the exceptions so we don't piss off our donors.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Great. Okay, next one. So when buying a product online, the invoice typically has the S&H, that's for shipping and handling. Good work on that one. This one always gets me back to, and maybe again, aging myself. I don't know if you've seen these, like the old infomercials, right? Where they'd be like, and it's free, just pay $19.99 in shipping and handling, and you'll get 3 ShamWows and whatever else from Ronco. Right. That's what I think about with this one regarding the data governance side. So this one, like really developing clear protocols or handling procedures, right? So how is that important?
Kind of ties into a little bit of what we just talked about. This is really important. And again, getting together with your team. So whether that's just one department or multiple departments, and defining what happens when we get data from XYZ, what happens when we get a check, what happens when we get cash, how does that get to the bank? Again, having that, it really is important to have that lead person to kind of drive a lot of this. And in my experience, that's kind of been the data person, is usually like, hey, I'm touching all these pieces, the donors, the checks, the ACHs, the whatever. Now let me meet with all of my different departments to see how we want to handle that. And I would also like to just point out, your data person is not your IT person and vice versa.
Right.
Those are wildly separate roles. And a lot of people are like, oh, IT's got that. Not usually, no. Or, oh, our data person knows how to fix that broken program. Not usually.
Yeah.
We have data people, and then we have our techie people.
Yeah. And that, again, we know nonprofits don't have a lot of resources. So you fall under a lot of those things. I think in the finance world, we get that as well, as either like IT system questions or like HR questions, right? It's like, hey, well, you do payroll, you're going to know how to onboard people and do filings, compliance filings and all that stuff. Be like, no, really, we just do the payroll and make sure that it's on your financials, right? That's a whole different set of skills. The little bit I'll add to that too is you talk about like handling procedures, having those roles and like the right security and privacy type information in place for those people and for your data altogether, right? Nobody wants leaked data. My biggest donor's information got leaked to this person and they could tie it back to me. That would be awful. So just alignment around that. And then you talked about like handling checks and things like that. And that level of communication. Again, on the finance side, we need to know all the information on that. Can we get that from the CRM system, or is there another handoff there that we need to know to make sure that we're categorizing things right in the financial side?
Yeah. And another piece on the security, I think that's something that a lot of nonprofits don't think about too often. And even in the data role, I would say you just assume that most of these platforms you're using have built-in securities, but there are still things you need to do to ensure you're compliant. For example, the PCI compliance that helps you handle credit card and debit cards. So making sure that information is secure. And that's huge. Your donors are trusting you with their financial information and their personal information. So absolutely have some security measures in place, or at least be asking the questions when you're doing your integrations, when you're picking out your platforms. Just kind of have some of those questions in the back of your mind.
Yeah. And likewise, the talk security side is like, and I'm sure we'll have a whole probably episode on this, but like use of AI, right? How secure you need to use that you're not putting donor data or other nonprofit data into the models, because they will build that in and then you're now sharing that and now they get shared out in the world. So definitely something to be mindful of. Great. All right, we're on number 7. This 80s group led by Boy George had the hits Karma Chameleon and Do You Really Want to Hurt Me? I'm going to give you this one. You said club. It's the Culture Club.
I was just blanking on that first one. I'm like, I love this. I love stuff.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God, I'm so old. I remember when that came out. Okay, anyway, so next point is like building a data culture, right? You just don't want a policy document that lives out there, right? Governance fails when it just lives out in a Google Doc or a Word doc somewhere and it's not built into the culture. What are the high points to think about regarding that?
Absolutely, absolutely. You have to convey how important data is to your team, to your organization. I will say I don't think data has been a priority for a lot of organizations, and I still don't think it is,
Yeah.
because I just don't think that people understand what you can do with it. So, creating a culture where you're really driving home, hey, fundraiser, you want to know your donor's full story and full journey? Guess where that comes from? The data. Inputting notes. When did you talk to them? When were they sent a mailer last? Were they in this last email communication? What are they interested in? All of that is data, which I don't think people really attribute it to, they're just like, oh, data's just numbers. No, it's information. It's
Mm-hmm.
building and maintaining those relationships. So, talking to your fundraisers, talking to your executive directors, anyone who's really handling or in the data, looking at the data, really driving home, hey, this is why it's important. You want to know and see this, we have to enter this.
Right.
This gets that.
Right. Yeah, go back to like garbage in, garbage out, right? So if you don't have a culture where this is consistently reinforced on that we do things this specific way, and it's not about bureaucracy, right? It's more like you said, is like this gets used to make, I say business decisions, but nonprofit business decisions for the organization, and how you're messaging your donors, how you're communicating with your stakeholders, how you're sending things to the board, that the board's the one that can fire all of us, right? So yeah, very important.
Yeah, like budgeting, forecasting, even understanding campaign initiative performance. How did we do at an event last year? Was that a fundraiser or a fundraiser? How did that go? Comparing, like what we spent versus what we brought in. All of that is so important to drive those decisions. And again, just kind of really build up your organizational relationships and the growth of your nonprofit. So
yeah,
absolutely.
For just some shenanigans in there, what do you call a group of seagulls? Another 80s reference, flock of seagulls. Summer, right now, you should go and Google flock of seagulls and look at the lead singer's hair. Fantastic. I'm sure, well, if you're watching on YouTube.
I recognize that.
Yeah, if you're watching on YouTube, if you're not familiar with this, again, all you crazy kids are the ones out there probably handling the data stuff now and listening.
Was this your hairstyle back in the day?
Yes. When I had hair, I wore it like that every day. It was fantastic.
That's amazing.
Cool. All right. Moving on. The next one is a simple machine that consists of a beam or rigid rod pivoted on a fixed hinge. And I was trying to help you there with this. So catapult, I guess that would be.
I think catapult to me.
It looked like a catapult. A lever is what I was going for, or a lever. I don't know if that's the English pronunciation of that.
I was curious in my mind how catapult kind of went in there. I'm like, it's probably not it.
Yeah, it might not be it. This one is getting to, so how do we leverage technology wisely, right? So this whole podcast, we're going to start looking in these tools. I think the next one, we're really going to be digging into one and reviewing it and giving some thoughts on it. But we want to leverage technology where we can, makes our lives easier, but we need to do that very intently and wisely, right?
Yes. Again, kind of going back to that term from our first episode, Frankensteining.
Yeah.
Comes in a lot. Some things I would say are absolutely okay to Frankenstein. If you have an event software that you really like using that does a lot more than your CRM software, probably makes sense to use that instead of trying to force your CRM software to do something it can't do.
Right.
Likewise with marketing and communications, with finance, with literally any other arm or department within your organization. If your CRM can handle it and do it, absolutely. Use it, try to make that work. But if you are running into issues, a lot of limitations, either A, maybe we need to look at another tool, or B, we need to look at an integration of some sort. But yes, technology should be there to help make things easier, efficient, not make things more manual because you have to export here and import there and transform your data and then no.
Yeah, I totally agree. So like automating where it's appropriate, right? And integrating systems very thoughtfully, right? Yes. And we're trying to push more and more things to have, not native AI, but AI built-in tools with a lot of our accounting systems where we can take a lot of data with nonprofits. Important you do grant management things right. You're splitting things out by programs for functional statements, and we'll talk about that more when we get into financial things. But there are several times where it's like, oh, I can automate this. Should we do it? And then like I'll have a team member tell me, like, you're not going to save me time here because I already have this great spreadsheet where I've pulled this data out and I paste it in and I natively have formulas that'll make my entry that I can put in, right? So say, that's perfect, right? If you have that down already, I don't want to do it. Same thing here is you don't want to add time to the situation or add complexity if you have something that works. And also kind of assessing all of your processes there. Where is your low-hanging fruit where you can save time doing things like that, automating things, leaning on a system. But yeah, don't do systems for system's sake. Make sure that there's an outcome that is improving something overall in the organization.
Another thing I'll add there too is make sure you have backup. Someone who understands what you do. So if you're gone or on vacation or sick or something happens, or maybe you leave, the people left at the organization need to understand how that works. So if that person has a very efficient spreadsheet and it works well for them, that's great. But can somebody else also use it who might need to, be their backup or step into that role at some point?
Yeah. Documented processes for everything. And I hammer this home with our team too, with the finance side, is like, once you have it down, and typically it takes a couple months of working with a client before we have a process down, we require you to we use Loom, right? Turn on your Loom, record yourself doing it. Loom will spit out the transcript of it. And that's like our SOP or standard operating procedure for it. And yes, that will change and we can't consistently update that. But usually if you have that documented and video with a screen share showing I put this here and here's where the file is and here's where I pulled this data. And it'd be the same thing with your donor data or your CRM stuff. The next person can come in and at least like, oh, I'm 80% of the way there or 90% of the way there. I can do this again. And it also, like you said, helps too with if anybody's gone, you're always trying to level up your team and move them to the next role. Instead of training somebody, you'd be like, hey, watch this video and we'll go through it together. A lot of that gets taken care of. And it doesn't add a lot of time because you're doing this anyway. If you just do it when you're doing it, right? Like if this is a monthly thing, turn on your camera, turn on your screen sharing, record it, talk yourself through it. Everything's built for you with the transcript. So that's really beneficial.
Awesome.
Yeah. All right, we're on number 10, last one. This will drop probably right after, if we keep to our schedule, right after St. Patrick's Day. So I thought a very appropriate question. How tall are leprechauns? You said 3 feet, 2 inches. I'm going to give you that one for sure. I felt like the gamut of things that you get out there is 2 to 3 feet tall. Leprechauns, right? There's not a right answer here. I'd just like to think how tall they are.
I don't know. And again, it's kind of like the Chris thing. It just came to my mind. Why not?
Yep. I think that would have been my answer too. I would guess like 2 or 3 feet tall, right?
You know what, Ian? Why don't we get a leprechaun image here? We'll name him Chris the Leprechaun.
Chris the Leprechaun doing a little jig. I love it. All right, and then we're done with the gauntlet. Got 50% of them right. This is good, right? That's what we aim for. Is like get some things to throw you off, so you'll never get 100%. Any just kind of general wrap up that you want to do on data governance and like how we prioritize this? How do we keep this top of mind? Scheduling things, anything like that?
Yes. So I would say, again, having that point person who's really kind of driving, like a project manager.
Yeah.
Pick somebody, probably your database admin or your database person, if they have time. They don't have a million things on their plate. But it needs to be a priority. So even just small things here and there, like maybe this week we create a procedure or we have a discussion around this, but knowing where is your data coming from? All different places. If you have mailed in checks, ACHs, online donation forms, volunteer forms, sign up forms, wherever, where is your data coming from? Where is it going to? Is it all coming to one spot or is somebody getting an email notification?
Yeah.
And then how's it getting to the database? So reviewing a lot of the data collection processes as well. And just really thinking through all the steps. Okay, data's coming from here, needs to get to there. And also, what data do we even need to use from that? Do we need all of the data from XYZ, or do we really only need their email? Just really talk through those pieces and figure out what's important to you and your organization and what is going to help drive things forward, help drive decision making, but also not bog down data entry and management to the point where it's unmanageable.
Yeah.
So the whole point of this is to make things more manageable and to help growth.
Right. Yeah. And the piece I'll add onto that too is just like this needs to be an intentional focus at some level of your organization, right? You probably have your point person there, and maybe they're scheduling once a week to take an hour and do this step, or once a month, or what that is. And then likely having a larger conversation with an organization, maybe twice a year or quarterly or something, to talk about issues that have come up, changes that maybe want to go out there. But you need to schedule these and schedule like that list of things that you're doing, right? And maybe we have a lot of this with like finance committees and things like that. Like, hey, it's January, we're going to look at this specific data item, or it's the second quarter and we're going to focus on this piece. Make that intentional, get the time on the calendar to make sure, because this is an easy thing that'll fall through the cracks until that big horror moment happens. And then you're like, oh yeah, we should have done that a while ago, right? So yeah, definitely make time for this.
And then, if possible, maybe try to get your leadership on board, because you're going to need support.
Oh yeah.
You're going to need resources, support, training, and you're going to need people to follow through on their end as well, especially if other people are doing data entry. So rally the team, guys.
Right. 100% needs to come from the top. Yeah. Cool. All right. Great. Number 3 in the books. This has been good. I think next time we're going to actually dig into a tool. We're still finalizing which one, but then we'll actually walk through something live, give you our thoughts, pros and cons, what that tool is, what organizations may benefit the most from that tool. So looking forward to getting a little more tactical come next time.
Yes. Be exciting.
Right. Until next time. See you later.